one thing I like to be known for is having, a word that someone can trust. I want someone to trust me when I say I will do something. And that is why I'm here today, because I promised you guys that I'm going to record on this platform on YouTube and speak more about what I think. I do find that other platform a bit restricting, right? Because people are in a rush when they are there. And I think you can even tell by my cadence that I'm used to speaking on that platform, excuse me, where you have to move things along quickly, which is probably why I should start with the disclaimers. Hi, guys. First disclaimer is that none of this is rehearsed. Literally, none of this is rehearsed. I've been thinking about hopping on here and speaking about these things with a bit more time freedom to do so. But I was overthinking a lot of things, right? Should I make a new channel? Should I have like an office set up? Like, and it's called analysis paralysis. Sometimes you can end up wanting to do something so perfectly that you end up doing nothing. So I was like, what is the easiest thing that I can do? Like, what is the easiest setup that'll get me talking and let me be dressed decently enough this time that that people do understand that these are actually serious things. The state of the world is a serious thing because it's the world that our children will inherit. Give me grace, okay? So give me grace, okay? If and when you do comment, please do remember we're trying something new. And of course, suggestions are welcome. Just don't be rude. Today's topic. Let me relax. Let me relax. Today's topic, guys, there is a huge, actually, the geopolitical tectonic plates are shifting. And as I've said before, and if you haven't heard it in the past, I'll repeat it again. When something changes, right? When a great power rises and the previous power falls, there is a vacuum there somewhere. There is a space for new things to emerge, right? As the old world is dying and the new world is rising, there's a lot of opportunity to be explored. But you need to understand the dynamics in order to navigate those opportunities appropriately. And that's what this video is about, essentially, making sure that you understand that the world is changing, that the world you grew up with, where one part of the world, where 15% of the world used to wag its fingers and tell us, you're a bad person. We are the protectors of the world. We set the standards and the international what. We set the international world order. That part, that entity is fading. It's dying. Day by day, it's getting weaker and weaker. And I think we all know that there's something, the sun is rising from the east. I remember when I was younger, they used to say, probably still is a saying, right, that China is a sleeping dragon. It's a sleeping giant, and when it wakes, will the world ever be ready for China's wake? And we are facing it today. China is here, guys. China has arrived. Do you guys recall the military parade? So I'm quite intuitive. I don't know if I've shared this before, but I don't know. Sometimes the signals in the air, I can feel them, I don't have to necessarily like perceive something. But when that military parade was happening, I remember that day, I could feel the change. I could feel it. I was like, this parade is a message to the world that a new sheriff is in town. I spoke to a friend on that day. She will recall my energy was just like, that was a message. Maybe it's not intuitive. Maybe other people recognize this. If you also saw the Chinese military parade, maybe it's 2 months or a month ago, a few weeks ago now. That was their statement of saying, we are here. We are here and we are, I wouldn't say taking over, right? Because that's a very interesting thing also, or worth us exploring, because how the West how the West approaches the world and how China approaches the world are very, very different. We're going to have to rewind a bit and think about the last time a great power rose and another was falling. This was when Great Britain. There used to be a saying, the sun never sets on Great Britain, of the British Empire. Something like that. Who cares? Who cares? Are they still even relevant? Yeah, they used to, yeah, the sun never sets on the British Empire. I think that's what it used to say, because they truly used to run the world. They used to be everyone's boss. But then they got involved in WW1, what they call a world war, where not the whole world was fighting, it was just them. But anyway, they fought that, so the one version, and then they fought the two version, and wars cost money, wars made countries weaker, and because the USA was isolated actually, because they didn't participate in the first, it didn't really participate in the first one, and then in the second one they kind of joined in at the end, and also they weren't attacked, right? So their infrastructure was still in place, they could still produce things, whereas Europe was obliterated, so they were unable to manufacture. So yonke manufacturing and everything went to the USA, and the USA rose as a global power. In those dynamics, right? Remember, Guti, the USA was built by former British. I believe they used to be prisoners. If you know, we need to remember these things, right? I believe that England sent people to the New World, and the New World was America when America was colonizing North America, right? Previously known as Turtle Island, I believe. Bebathumela amabhantini. I don't know why I found that so funny. But yeah, and maybe that explains why America is like this. But then again, the Europeans as a collective weren't really great overlords, right? And we hope our new overlord will be a lot better, but it seems that they're going to be better. I hope to touch on that just before at the end of the video. What I was trying to highlight is that basically the USA was the child of Great Britain in a sense, right? Because it was created by the descendants of Europeans essentially. But China is very different, because China has been in existence, is a civilization that's been in existence for over 4,000 years. They have their own philosophies, their own way of life, and they are vastly different from the West, right? From America and all these supporting characters called the global West, the political West. And China is very different. The way China approaches the world, I was actually part of a session yesterday where they kind of broke it down for us, right? If you recall, there was a conference, I think either a few days before or a few days after the military parade, but they kind of laid down what they hope to see in the world and how we hope to approach the world, right? This includes that no one person, oh my goodness, guys, the idea was that I was gonna keep these videos under 10 minutes, because if I recall my last videos, people didn't like to watch long videos. So I promised myself these videos would be like under 10 minutes. But it's clear that I have a lot to say. Let's just say this. In this video, I've discussed that little bit of the history of the West and USA and Great Britain. And in the next one, we'll speak a bit about China and where they hope to take the world. I hope you'll be here for round 2, and thank you for coming. I feel good that I kept my word to you, and we shall meet again.